We are here today with Max Wardlaw again, everybody.
Hello
And
again.
he is our CEO, Master Open House King of all times. And we are going to be unpacking, breaking down what we do in the whole 360 open house strategy with Agent Hub 360, and then having Max share on top of everything that the marketing and the pre open house, what he's actually doing.
Yep.
It's the big cherry on top.
And I was going to say, Kelly, the really cool thing to think about too is like I've been teaching about the open houses for a long time, and it's been the process about what happens in the actual open house. But when you add on what the hub is doing and the follow-up piece of it, that's where most agents fail. And that's why this is such an important conversation, because you can set up the best open house in the world, but if you don't have the follow-up strategy to nurture these leads and to get it converted, you're wasting your time. You're spinning your wheels and running in place.
Right. And then
Hmm.
also, Max, kudos to you because we've been doing this a long time in the hub, doing all the follow up on everything sphere, past clients, open house, new leads, everything. And we know what we can produce after in the follow up. Yet, if the agent doesn't take action, doesn't delegate properly, like just get out of the way and let somebody else do that proper marketing, right? So
Yep.
that you can go be focused on your relationships. And if you do everything right and we do everything right, and there's people in the open house, if you don't know how to navigate, if you don't know the psychology of how to sell, which is in
Yeah.
our we say no selling, it's
Yeah.
consultative
Same,
share,
same thing.
right? So that's why this is so cool to be able to share with everybody. Do you want to just jump in?
Yeah, let's do it. So one of the things, and this is kind of where we start. So how many of you, and well, I was going to say, and the couple people that are in here right now, that were able to make it for this, when would you say the average agent starts prepping for their open house?
Friday, maybe.
Friday? Friday for your Saturday open house, right? Dave, would you agree?
The morning of.
Morning of. Yeah, and honestly, that is really, really typical in our industry. And that's when somebody's thinking of open houses as just an activity that they have to do. They're not thinking about it from, a full business building perspective. Because honestly, at the end of the day, open houses are nothing more than a giant database activity that lead to the relationships that are going to feed you for the rest of your career and the rest of your life in this business. So when you start thinking of it as a whole process, um, I personally have only done open houses as my main leader. That has led to building a database of, I think when I onboarded with the hub, I handed over 2,800 contacts. Well, I moved here to Central Florida, and I knew two people. But after doing open houses and making it an actual part of my business practice and my prospecting, I was able to create a database that's sizable enough for the hub to actually work and get some crazy returns and start to see the pipeline and for them to work their magic. This is the fuel for your system. So what a lot of agents make the big mistake on is that they look at this as just an activity that they don't think they want to do, or they've been taught how to do it the wrong way. So it's just something that's like a last minute throw together to please your seller. And what I'm going to challenge you guys to start thinking about in this series is that these open houses aren't for your sellers. They aren't for someone else's sellers. If you're borrowing a listing, they're for you, and they're a major business builder for you. So this is usually where I like to start, and I'm going to show this to you guys. So the open house prep actually needs to start at the beginning of your week. It needs to start on Monday. So, like I was saying, most agents, your average agent, which I will say, you guys, this is why this is such a huge opportunity, because the general consensus in the industry is that open houses are never a main focus, and it's a huge error, I think. So, if you can do this in a high level way, not only are you going to get the returns that you're looking for, but you're differentiating yourself from the other agents that are in the industry. I actually make open houses part of my listing package. So it's something that I'm talking to sellers about and the importance of the process when I'm winning the listing. And it's a big differentiator because most agents won't even talk about it. So, because they don't want to do it, because they haven't figured out how to do it the right way. So, going back to the prep work, your open house prep week actually has to start on Monday. It takes about this whole process, which we're only going to talk about Monday and Tuesday today, you guys. We're going to break this out and chunk this out for you guys. But we're going to talk about searching and scheduling your open house. And then we're going to move over to Kelly that's going to talk about launching your marketing through the hub, which I will tell you is 23 steps and like super robust in terms of how you're doing this. So most people don't start here. Like we said, they start on Friday, or like Dave said, they start Saturday morning and they decide to do it. And it's just not setting yourself up for success. And I think one of the other things that I look at and I teach about with open houses is at the end of the day, you have no control over who walks through that door. So we're not talking about controlling how many people. A lot of times when I'm teaching this, people focus on the number of groups and they focus on the results. I'm going to challenge you guys to not look at those lagging measures and look at the leading measures of how you're setting it up, because not every open house is going to be the same. What we've done and what we're going to share with you guys is setting up the stage for success. It's doing all the pieces that are going to create the best potential opportunity for you. But at the end of the day, you might have one person that shows up to your open house. It depends. We have no control over that. But if you've done all the prep work and you've done the stuff that Kelly's going to talk about, especially with the listing marketing, it doesn't matter if somebody shows up to your open house or not, because you're still going to get some leads, which is really, really cool. So getting started, we'll go on to the next slide. So the best thing that you can do to set yourself up for success is going to be picking the right house. So there's 3 key elements that go into picking the right house for your open house business. And we'll get into that right now. So the first one is the best open houses to do are vacant. Why do you think that is? Just anybody that's here. Why do you think the best houses to do are vacant?
Not cluttered.
Not cluttered. Oh yeah. 100%. How many of you have gone into a buyer, you're out with buyers and you show a house that's perfect for them, but they can't get the crazy furniture out of their mind, and all of a sudden that house becomes about the crazy couch or the crazy artwork or the figurine collection or anything. Vacant houses remove all of the extra stuff that your buyer has to pay attention to, or all of the shiny distractions that your buyer is going to pay attention to. And it leaves room for 2 things. It leaves room for them to look at the actual house, which is what we're trying to do, which is what they're gonna, they're out there looking for. It gives them the opportunity to visualize themselves in that house because there's everything out of the way. And then some of the extra stuff we're going to talk about later, not today, is I set up the houses like a model home. So what vacant houses also provide is a blank canvas for me to put information, branding, and tips and tricks and information about myself. It lets me fill the house with that, so that literally everybody that comes in is looking at the actual house and they're looking at my branding and my way of doing business without me ever having to open my mouth. You don't sell at the beginning, you sell later. So we're going to talk about that. So one of the things that you can do, the best houses to do are vacant. And a lot of people don't realize that, check with your state broker, check with your state regulations. But, I'm in Florida. I don't host my own open houses all the time. I do the first weekend. So if I have my own listing, I do the first weekend, and then I take my flex partners or my referral partners and I have them fill in with any other weekends, because it does not help. The name of the game is eyes on the prize. How many eyes on this property can I get? So if I'm doing my open house over and over and over and over, and especially with the marketing platform that you're about to see, I'm just advertising the same thing to the same group of people, and you're not moving the needle forward. So when you're bringing in other people to host your open houses after you get the first opportunity at your listing, you're doing your seller a huge service because it's a totally different database that's getting marketed to at that point. That each agent has a unique database that they're marketing to. And bonus points if your flex partners are already in the hub, and then they can execute this marketing strategy just like you with their branding to their database. So some food for thought there. But
Hey, Max,
yeah,
if I can just add the other thing, of course, for all of those reasons, I love the vacant property as the first choice. Also, the efficiency of you don't have to coordinate with the sellers and have the sellers get out and have the dogs get out and the cats and all of that. And just the efficiency of here's a vacant property. Do you mind if I do the open house on Friday from 4 to 6? Thursday from 4 to 6 or 5 to 7,
right.
Saturday and Sunday, 4 days in a row, pop, 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 because it's vacant
Yeah.
anyway,
Well,
right?
and you guys think it's vacant anyway, and that's exactly right, Kelly. You're not fighting anybody else's schedule. And again, this is all about putting what can we control and what can we control to get the highest ROI result possible. That's exactly right when it comes to this. The other thing too is and you'll see this down the road, there's a follow-up structure, especially when you work in the hub. I actually stay at my house after the open house is done, and I get that stuff that I finish that stuff. Now, if you're not doing a vacant house, then that homeowner is probably not banging down the door, asking when they can get back into their house. So again, this is about maximizing your time. And I love what you said about doing it 4 days in a row. Like you can make the choice to sit behind your desk at your office, or you can make the choice to make that house your office for the day or the next group of days or whatever you want to do. It maximizes your opportunity. We don't need to be secret agents behind our computer in our office all the time. This
Yeah,
gets you
and
out in the community.
not only that, but I think it was Amy who did multiple open houses, and I think it was Amy
It was
who
Kelly, or it
left
was
the signs out,
Kristen Edwards.
and left the signs out for like 3 days.
Mm,
That was Amy, right?
that was Amy, yes.
Yeah. And so, like, talk about efficiency. Who wants to go put them out, pick them up, put them out, pick them out?
Right.
So they're just out there the whole time, which is even better because you're just branding, 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 branding.
Right.
It's just
But I was going to say what you just said, and Amy, I think Amy's here. I think that's a brilliant idea too I think that works really well with vacant houses as well, because then if the signs are out there, there's not a risk of somebody knocking on the seller's door and bothering the seller when they're home outside the hours of the open house. If it's vacant and nobody's there, you could actually just put a sign up on the door when you're done and say, open house will resume tomorrow from X time to X time.
and
So
scan this QR code for more
Yes.
information. Thank you very much. And then they opt in, and then boom, they're on the production line. Okay,
Yep.
so we're getting excited.
Yeah, we're getting really
I'll let
excited.
you
This is a lot.
continue.
So there's two, and I put this down here. You guys have already seen it. Set yourself up on a search in the MLS for vacant houses every Monday and Thursday. So the low hanging fruit for what you're going to want to set your search up for, you're setting yourself up in there as a client. Why are you doing it on Monday? Because you're going to see what survives the weekend, right? And then you're doing it on Thursday because that's the last day of the week that most people are listing properties. So you do 2 times a week. This is an email that comes into your inbox that puts you on top of the vacant houses that are ripe for open houses in the market. Does that make sense for everybody? So set yourself up on a search in the MLS and make sure that gets into your inbox. So that's number one. Vacant houses, I can't tell you, it's so much easier. And I actually we'll talk about this with the setup, but I bring a table and chairs. Because there's nothing in the house. So I bring a folding table with a tablecloth and 4 chairs. So I set up a little office for myself. So if I'm doing it for 3 days, that's my office for 3 days, So number 2, moving on to this. You want to choose a house that's on or near a main road. Now, I realize that everybody is not necessarily in the same size market. However, What this is leading to is number three, which that's spoiler alert, it's going to be signs. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But if it's on or near a main road, it's getting the maximum exposure for your marketing, and all of your signs, Kelly probably has shown you before, have your QR code on them that goes directly to that property to capture information from anybody that may not stop. So if it's on or near a main road, you're going to get the maximum amount of traffic that's driving by your signs and the maximum possibility for somebody to go, oh my gosh, I need to stop by this house. And I will tell you, you guys, you can be the best marketer in the world. The people that come off of the signs, the people that visit off of the signs are the highest opportunity for you because they more than likely don't have an agent. More often than not, they don't have an agent, and they're starting in the beginning of the process. So they're a little bit more moldable in terms of finding somebody that is going to be the industry expert to help them guide them through it. It is huge relationship creation opportunity, way more so than somebody that's already been fishing on Zillow, obviously way more so than somebody that has an agent their agent sent them to the open house. Huge opportunity for right now business and last minute decisions when somebody's coming in off your signs. And then the other thing too is when you have it near the main road, I put the signs out, which we're going to talk. I'll show you a picture of that in a minute. The MLS or Google Maps is a great tool, you guys. We don't have to drive out to the area to figure out if this is going to be a good place or not. You can actually do that from your desk. You can use that little man, which I've actually got it right here. That little man that's going there, and you can place yourself on the corner of the street. You can actually plan out where all your signs are going. You can plan out how many you need. You can actually, if you've got to put signs in somebody's private property, you can write down the addresses that you're going to need to door knock and ask permission to put sign on a private property to get people to the house. So there's so much opportunity that you can do on the front end. But again, it's got to be that near that main road. Otherwise, you're not going to get that highest conversion opportunity traffic coming into your open house without it.
You just said that, Max.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great, because if I was that neighbor or that homeowner and you knocked on my door and said, hey, do you mind? We're looking to, get the maximum amount of traffic to your neighbor's home because they're selling it. That would really impress me. Totally impress me.
I've got
You're
a full
working for it.
script. Oh, 100%. And I've got a script for you guys later. This is coming soon when we get to the door knocking, door dropping part. I actually don't invite anybody to the open house. I do a public service announcement, and it's more about safety and caring about the neighborhood. Does that sound like relationship? Right?
Yep.
So even in that situation, I can't tell you how many people, when I've knocked on their door and said, hey, we're doing an open house this weekend, I just wanted to ask permission if it was okay if I put a sign out here for a little while. Some people are going to say no, absolutely not. But you'd be surprised how many people go, oh my gosh, no one has ever asked before. They just do it. So kind of you to think of me.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And anybody in this situation, anybody that you can talk to when you're doing an open house is an opportunity. Literally anyone. One of the slides that you're going to see later, again, is all the different relationship opportunities that happen at an open house. And most people think it's just buyers. I actually get more listings out of open houses than I do buyers now, which is really interesting. So anyway, you can determine where your traffic's going to go and come from, and you can plan your route. You can do everything you need to by choosing a house that is on or near a main road. This is the last one. And you're going to go, oh crap, what? I used to do this as 50 signs, but I realized that not every neighborhood has the capacity or the space for 50 signs. So at least get 25 out there. How many open houses have you gone by and it's one sign at the corner and you forget it, like you're like, oh, an open house, but you're still driving? So if you can see this picture, and it's a little bit harder, but these signs are placed 20 paces apart all the way down the main road, both sides, hitting traffic from both sides. So people turning right into the neighborhood and then people turning left into the neighborhood. 25 on the minimum. Now, that's 20 paces, then that's why the main road is important. 20 paces between each sign on the main road. That's where the bulk of your signs are going. Once they turn into the neighborhood, you just put the amount of signs that they need to get to the property. You don't flood inside the neighborhood. Does that make sense? So that's why that main road is super important, because that's where that's where the traffic and that's where people are going to make decisions. Once they've turned in the neighborhood, they already made the decision to come to your open house. So all you have to do is get them there. So less signs in the neighborhood, more signs at the entrance. And there's another reason why, when we get into the door knocking conversation, why that's really important as well. But you can use the same street view tool to determine whether you can put that many out. And bonus, there's a couple things that I'm going to show you on, or that I'll tell you right now on here that most agents don't know. Notice what side of the sidewalk those signs are on. Does anybody know why? So the sidewalk, you have the street, you have grass, and then you have the sidewalk, and then you have more grass usually, right?
City bylaw.
Most people don't know that the grass that's between the sidewalk and the street is actually a public easement. And if there is code enforcement out during your open house and there's signs in that public easement, they can take your signs. But the other side of the sidewalk, so in the picture, the right side of the sidewalk, the neighborhood side of the sidewalk, that's private property. They won't take your signs there.
That's so good. And then you're going and getting authorization, approval, and building relationships with every neighbor.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Well, and then the other like gold standard, like if you can find a house, notice that this one there's not a bunch of houses with driveways on this main road. The neighborhood's behind a retention wall, or there's a buffer zone between the neighborhood. It's not direct access. That's why the main road's important. You're not bothering anybody at that point. And more than likely, if there's a retention wall and the neighborhood's behind that, the HOA owns that property. Well, HOAs, especially on Saturday and Sunday, they're usually not out doing anything. So your opportunity for signs, and I'm just going to tell you guys, your signs will get taken at some point. It'll be code enforcement, it'll be an HOA, or honestly, I've had other agents take my signs. So just plan on that. It's not the end of the world. Buy enough signs. You're not going to be able to roll with 3 to 5 signs. You're just not doing it. The other thing that I want you to notice on here, and it's a little harder to see, but I'll bring up kind of the idea. The signs are progressive in message. There are 6 different signs. They don't just all say open house with my team name. I've done it that way before. There's kind of two schools. I think the progressive message and branded sign that still has place for the QR code is the best opportunity, because it's kind of like let's take Disney. I live in Orlando, right? So when you're driving down I-75 and you're somewhere in Tennessee, you probably see a billboard that says Disney 300 miles, most magical place on earth. And you're like, oh, that's nice. And then you're driving in North Georgia and you see another one that says, make sure to stop at Disney, free tacos. Oh, I really want to do that. And then you get closer and then it says Disney, 50% off tickets. You see what I'm saying? It's giving you a reason. It's progressive. And that's why we put so many signs out, because if there's signs going in the quarter mile in either direction, it gives people time to make the decision to come to your open house. Most agents, like I said, will put one on the corner, and by the time they drive by the turn, they miss the turn. There is nothing else keeping them and pulling them back to think, oh my God, I got to see that open house. It's over. It's done. Whereas if you're doing them 20 paces apart and it's different messages, they're actually engaging with your signs. They're thinking about it. And some of the things you'll see here, seller very motivated, all offers considered. One of them says first public showing. You've got to see this home. Another one might say free list of area homes. Another one might say, this is an amazing home. You have to see it. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm baiting everybody every 20 paces, and it's maximizing the opportunity that they're going to turn in the neighborhood and see your house and visit you. So we've got two
Brilliant.
camps. You can do that, or if you want to do team branded signs and you say you're doing a big flex partnership program and you've got 10 agents that are all doing open houses in the same, metropolitan area. Well, then you've got, if you're doing team branded signs that way or flex partnership branded signs that way, literally anybody that's out looking is going to be like, who is this Amy Miner group? My God, they're everywhere. So there's a couple different schools of thought. You just have to, I would say for the individual agent, go the progressive message. Even for me, I'm still doing the progressive message because I think the return is much greater.
Yeah.
But again, if you're trying to capture a neighborhood or if your brand is super well known, you can do them with your brand as well. So those are the three things, and I'll stop the share now.
Mm-hmm. I think
So those are the three things that are super, super important when you're picking the right house. These all go into picking the right house.
Yeah.
What do you
And
think?
why is this so important? I just want to bring them back, Max, to last week. Why is it so important? Like, if any of you listening or here are listening to this and going, that's a lot of work. Like, man, I never used to do open houses. Like, wow, why bother? I'm just flashing. Here's a couple of past weekends that Max has done this. And he's got flex partners where he has them doing the open houses with him, and they're getting 50% referral. He's getting 50% referral. I mean, this one a few weeks ago was a $79,000 weekend, you guys. This didn't even count. We just froze it because we like data. We like success stories. And we froze the data right after the open house. This isn't even anything to do with what happened after. There's more business here, but is it worth 80,000? Max is making potentially 47,000 at that freeze frame just that weekend himself. Is it worth it to become a serious professional around open houses?
And Kelly, that's where most agents stop. That's where most agents stop, and that's where the hub comes in and is so essential. The potential is amazing, but if you don't have the system to convert it, because I will tell you, before the hub, most agents, how long do you think before they stop following up with people that they meet in an open house? Especially if you're doing this as a main business builder and you're doing 4 weekends of open houses, 8 open houses in a month. Like, how long do you think before people stop following up because the volume gets too big? 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks at the most. So without the hub and without this piece, those numbers are amazing, but they're just numbers on the front end. Now we're going to talk about how to drive it home and actually get that into your bank account.
Yeah, that's it. Well, like, that's why when we met you almost a year ago, you had just a big fat stack of paper because you had all these survey forms, but you couldn't do the follow-up, which now you're getting a return on that. But this was the second weekend, you guys. He had one listing come out of it, and then he had partners that he was doing he was receiving a 25% split. So his GCI weekend was 12,000. His partners were 22. It was a $34,000 weekend. Is it important enough to be able to master this and work with people to leverage, right? That's what we want to see.
Right. And again, the money is amazing, but don't focus there. Focus on the relationships, because each one of those transactions that are right now identified, if you're following up and creating relationship the right way, they should be worth 5 or 6 more transactions over a period of time.
Absolutely. I want them to focus on the money first to get so interested in doing it, and where it becomes automatic. And then I love how Julie Nelson says, when you really get automatic around something and then you stop doing it, you get itchy. So I want them to be motivated, then itchy if they don't have an open house every weekend because they get so used to this,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
And you guys, in terms of the hub system too, it is fuel. It's literally high octane fuel for the hub open houses.
it is.
Big time.
So let's look at what the marketing. We're going to just round the corner here. And thank you, Max. That was a great setup of, and I wondered how you were choosing those properties.
Yeah.
That was great. Now let's just go and let's say that you've chosen the home and you've got your plan with your signs. And even if you're one solo agent and you're going to do it yourself, or if you've got a flex partner team like Max, either way, I'm going to show you the ultimate power play in the listing power play with the open house.
Yep.
And whether you're doing it yourself and you've maybe got some of the pieces, I hope you'll get some ideas here. In Max's world, Amy's world, a few of you people that are on this session, this is, you guys are delegating this to your hub team to implement. So let's review it. So you've got the borrowed agent or your own listing. I don't know if we stressed upon that you pick your open house. This is of a borrowed agent. Yes, when you're picking that open house, we're going to talk about the talk track to how to win that borrowed agent's listing. And now you do it the same, whether it's your listing or another agent. It's just listed. And of course, it would be, if it's a fresh listing, just listed with an open house. It could be under contract, just sold. And this listing power play, by the way, there's marketing steps in each one of these statuses. Okay, just sold. And then there's sold in the past. So you can take that one property and do a whole marketing blitz 4 times, which is super powerful. And what we see is agents will maybe do just listed, for sure, just listed, yet they don't at least triple tap, we say, just listed, under contract, just sold, at least triple tap it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really want to go for the quad in 30 days later or 3 months later, you could do a sold marketing blitz. So this is going to be a lot to look at if this is the first time you've ever been exposed to what we call the 360 marketing plan. Yet I'm just going to do an overview of it. Everything is derived, everything happens from the QR code. And you heard Max talking about the QR code on the signs. Actually, we didn't even talk about that yet.
Mm-hmm.
We want to put that QR code, which leads to the property website, anywhere. Where can we find real estate that we can? That's why when he said a note on the front door, I immediately saw QR code. Yep. So that they could scan with their phone, get the property website, property web information. And when they look and they click on that website, it gives them a bit of information. Then to go deeper, it asks them to opt in. Contact information, phone, email, name. That's your legitimate, fully in compliance opt-in. And then it's, well, in Max's world, it's giddy up because now it's going directly to the follow-up center. And we're not going to talk about what happens there, but we call it getting it on the production line. That's what the goal is. How many places can you get that QR code out over this marketing blitz? So let's just have a look. The just listed, yes, the ultimate is with an open house. I'm just going to show you the plan even without an open house layered on. And there's 17 steps here. So it's the property website. It's the property flyer. It's the listing announcement to your database. Again, in the hub, we're talking always about structuring your database. Those database is it's all your relationships. Now, once they're organized and structured, now you can market to them. So, and I wouldn't have people send too many emails of listings. Like, let's say you have 4 or 5 in a month. Don't send every single listing to your database of Sphere and past clients. It'll be too much. Pick your nice clickbait one.
That's what I was going to say. I would pick the best looking listings.
Best looking,
What
higher
you're doing.
priced.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So then listing announcement on the 4 social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. A lot of people don't use Twitter. They say, oh, why bother? Puts it out there in a digital footprint online. And it all makes a difference with algorithms and whatnot in the future. There's more you can put it on, but at least those, or Google My Business is also excellent. Then listing announcement, social media template for the seller to post. And this is actually Max, when he checks a box in his hub to say, yes, I want all of this. This is all on a menu and they're all checked off. And he actually unchecks what he doesn't want. Yet Max is someone who enrolls his seller in that listing presentation consultation. He's enrolling them to want to join the buzz, like help get the buzz going on this property, because the more people that see it, the more people that come and look at it, the higher the price can be, the higher the net in your pocket. So
and I was going to say a lot of sellers will post it anyway. And if they're posting without that QR code, congratulations, you've just created a lonely island.
Exactly. Ooh, I love it. Yes. Those are lingo, lonely island. Yeah. And on social media and in the email, it'll actually have the link to the property, not the QR code, but it's, the QR code going to that site. You're absolutely right. And then your branding, they are telling people, hey, Max is the one that's representing our home. And then you're impacting, you're getting in front of their sphere. So that's far better than, somebody saying who says so besides that, you're a great real estate agent, but this is a fantastic way to do it. And then here too, an email template. So a lot of people, maybe they're not on social media, but these two are often overlooked and agents don't do it. But those are so key. The nearby homeowner letter, we know, is the #1 converter to get listings. So that one, and again, with the QR code, when we create this, we do 2 QR codes, one for what's my home worth, getting those neighbors to raise their hand on wanting to know what their home's worth, and also the property itself. So right there, we can start to flesh out if there's any potential listings, because we've got 2 QR codes on there. The listing sign writer with the QR code, online listing ads, of course, Facebook and Google. So that's just on the just listed. That's the full package on the just listed. And again, it gets real tough. We do it with ease because it's all streamlined and the processes are there. We've got a full team to create this and get it out easily. But how does an agent do this, right? What's so funny? This is very funny. I'm getting solicited by myself. It says Kelly Darling is calling me. They're getting smart. They're really.
I love it. Yeah, I love it when the United States calls me too. It's like super important.
Okay, sorry about that. So that is the just listed. Then when it goes under contract, it's pending. Do a listing update in the social media again, and do another nearby homeowner letter with those 2 QR codes again. What's my home worth? And then the triple tap again is just sold. Again, I see even agents in the hub. They're doing just listed and they're doing just sold, but they forget about the under contract.
And I have a question for you, Kelly, actually, on the under contract. When do you think the best time to do that? Immediately, or would you wait till after the inspection period and that they're not going to back out within 3 days or something like that? What do you think?
Go
for it. Okay.
So it's another reason. Again, these homes, these properties are like, you always hear me say, fishing boats, and you can put fishing lines out on these boats. So there's if it goes back, the status goes back to for sale. then we'll later on, you could actually do it when it's active. It's called an active status, that it's just for sale. You know, the property will say for sale, you
And I
know.
know you can add notes in there. So you could say, back on the, you could say the reason. Because
Yeah.
a lot of times it's not that there's something wrong with the property.
Mhm. Yeah. And then just sold, of course, obviously, again, the social media, again, the nearby homeowner letter. So that nearby homeowner letter 3 times in that neighborhood. And anybody we're mentoring, coaching, we're a big believer in, we choose our best of breed tech stack every year. Our engineers do this, and then we share it with everybody. So our best of breed tech stack piece for the direct mailers is thanks.io. And it has been for a couple of years. So we go in and we create content, and anyways, we do a hybrid of moving things around to create this magic here that gets results. Yet the reason we love thanks.io is they'll allow you to mail out to only 10 people in the neighborhood. A lot of these direct mail companies, you have to mail out 50, 100 minimum. So you can just hit the neighbors. If you have a low budget at the moment, you could triple tap it 3 times and only send out to 20, 10, 20, I would say 20 neighbors, that
I was
block
going to say
around that home.
bonus points if you can also pick out the people that during your door knocking, door dropping, that you actually had a connection with.
Oh, yeah.
That,
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about getting in front of them. There's like psychology into how many times you need to get in front of somebody before you're a friendly face and a familiar face. This is a way to do it. And this is like traditional farming. This is literally, honestly, I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is how you create a farm
Yeah.
without just like arbitrarily saying, I want to farm this neighborhood and not having any sort of footing in there. This gives you the footing with the open house and doing this whole process.
We don't have any agents that we work with that actually do traditional farming, the old spray and pray way, where you just
You
like
don't need to.
sending out hundreds, or 100 in even your neighborhood. Again, through thanks.io, it's called geo farming. You can direct target different types of demographics. So again, more intelligent farming strategies here. Let's see, just sold online leads. Yeah. So again, the ads, and you could also sprinkle a little bit of ad spend on the under contract as well. So that's the up to the just sold. And then after 30 days, there's a status called pass sold. And this would just say sold in this area. And again, it's just clickbait. Now, this has nothing to do with even the open house. Yet imagine that this is all fired up. This 360 marketing is all fired up. Now you go and add on, and you're going to be getting free leads from wherever this QR code is. Organic leads, we call them, and leads from online, which we know Facebook is cheap and cheerful. And most people say Facebook ads suck. We know they suck without follow-up. Yet when you have the proper follow-up in place, they are glorious. I see Amy's face smiling. She knows because she's getting some of those converted, right? So let's go and see what happens with the rest of these steps. That's only 17 steps. And again, you guys don't feel bad for Max. He's not the one doing all this. And if it was left to him, he'd be doing like maybe 3 of the steps, because that's not where he is brilliant. His brilliance is relationship building, which is why he can make a lot of income and have financial freedom, time freedom, and emotional freedom, right? That's it. And bless many others to join this. So that's the whole key, is delegation. The open house. Now you've got an online open house countdown, which again catches some more attention. The open house invite. So again, that nearby homeowner or postcard with those QR codes with the invite. Directional signs. And I'll show you 2 examples of some great directional signs to go and put adhesive envelope, clear envelope type of adhesive holder. And then you merely print the QR codes and pop them in to those 30, 25 signs. And they're like little mini free billboards. And that's the QR codes. And then in the open house, he's got a series of, well, this is the basic program. He takes it to another level. But in the open house, you have QR code for the home, a QR code for what's your home worth, that then gets listings, coming out, and a QR code to your IDX website, to search for homes other than this one, go to my website. And so all of these QR codes capturing the lead contact information. That's the whole point here. How do we capture the contact information so that we have the opportunity to build relationships in the future?
And I will tell you, Kelly, and you guys really like took it on steroids when I came over and started doing the QR codes and stuff like this. But one thing I will tell you guys to absolutely get rid of, and you're going to see why, is get rid of the traditional sign-in sheet.
Yeah.
Get rid of it. You don't need it. You've got 15 other ways. And I will tell you, most people that go into the open house are expecting it. So when you don't do it, again, this is about making yourself different and pointing out that you're different. I've had people ask me, where's the sign-in sheet? And I say, oh, you don't need to do that. If you want the information, you're more than welcome. You can actually get it right here, but I don't do a sign-in sheet. And they look at me like I have 6 heads. It's because there's other ways to capture it. And we're going to talk about a lot of those other ones in the upcoming parts of this series. But the QR code's one of the biggies.
Yeah. And you know what? That was right on cue. I don't know if you saw this survey.
Oh, there it is.
The last 23 survey sheet on clipboards. He's going to talk about his strategy. And again, it's a survey sheet for the seller. It's not a, like he said, a sign-in sheet. And again, at the bottom, it has those QR codes again. So these are the 23 steps to the 360 marketing. How many of you are doing maybe 75% of this? How many of you are doing 50%? Well, when you go 360 and it's all in, it's a machine. Here's Max says, I love these signs. And what he does is this is where his plastic adhesive goes, and he stuffs the QR code in there. When you get this sign out on the street, I know you gave me this copy, you just got them printed.
Yeah.
Can you give me a picture of your actual? And here is Dustin and Matt's signs, and there's that adhesive pocket. And there they've just they've printed, the team creates these, emails it over to the team, or to Matt and Dustin, and they just pop it in there. And again, when you've got your flex team, sorry, Max, when you got your flex team working together, you just email it over to them. They can print and they can stuff and they can go do the signs, right?
Yep. I just dropped the link to the plastic sleeves into the chat for anybody that's here.
Thank you.
So they're 5 by 5. So if you're designing your own signs, leave a 5-inch by 5-inch space for this specifically.
Perfect. Thank you. I think we should wrap it up here, because I think we gave them a lot of information and we're already over. And we'll pick it up from where we left off next week. But thank you, Max. Let's just see if there's Q&A. Let's stay on for a few minutes. You guys have the floor. Any questions?
I'd love to hear a little bit more about the progressive signs, like some of the ideas on what to say. Like you said, motivated seller will accept all offers or present all offers or whatever it said.
All offers considered.
Do you run that by your sellers? Or are they like, what are you putting out signs like that for?
Well, so again, this is a little marketing thing. You ready for this? Motivated seller, which is also why I'm picking a vacant house. Why do you if somebody comes in it and comes into the house and says, I saw that the seller was motivated, tell me about that. And you're doing a vacant house? Well, they're obviously not living here and they're paying for it. right? So it's not necessarily something when you pick that house, it's not something you have to run by the seller. The other thing too is like, what was the other one? All offers considered. Well, it's our job to present all offers. So isn't that they're all considered? That doesn't mean they're going to be accepted. I can offer $1 and it's going to be considered for about 0.2 seconds and then rejected, but they all are considered, correct? So
Yeah.
it's a play on words a little bit to kind of be that bait to bring people in. Another one that I do is I actually, and I used to do this in say free list area homes, but you can do this a little different. You're going to see how I set up the house with actives and solds that are all in the area, which we're going to talk about. That's one of the 3 things for a setup that is like absolute killer. But you can put that other homes, list of other homes in the area available. So it's already part of your setup. But again, it's that bait to get people to make the decision to come to your house. The other part about this, and going back to it, why I was talking about, putting them on the main road at the entrance of the neighborhood, the people that you connect with when you're door knocking, door dropping, that may or may not decide to come. I almost guarantee you on the Saturday morning when they're going out to get breakfast or something and they go to the end of the neighborhood and they see 25 signs in either direction, they're going to go, who the heck is this person? We got to go there. We got to go see this house. You're giving them a reason to show up. And then I'm always a big believer of don't tell people how you work, show them. So in the conversion process at the open house, whether it's a buyer or a seller, you're showing up to the game so differently than everybody else that it no longer becomes a conversation about proving what you do. You're already showing them what you do. And then they want to get on board. They want you to represent them. One of the questions on my survey is if you were to market your home, if you were to sell your home, would you like it marketed this way? And do you think that person says yes or no? If they say yes, I'm following up with that person, 100%. If they say no, I'm probably not going to follow up with that person. So, and we'll talk about the survey. That's actually the other key, that's one of the key pieces of your setup. The next time we'll talk about it, I do kind of like a bare bones setup. And then there's extras. And I mean, this is something that's been developed over almost 5 years. So just like the hub's been doing this for 10 years, I've been doing this piece for 5 years. And I have a degree in theater. So I call this my show. I set the stage. I know the script. I know all the pieces. I know all the players. Then I just get to act in the show every time. And it becomes so much more fun when you take the guesswork out of what you're doing and it becomes a system. It's so much more fun that way. I never get disappointed anymore. Even if like I said, even if one group comes to my open house, I know with what the hub's done, I've done the listing marketing and I'll get 25, 26, 30 leads regardless that I know they're following up with. So there's no such thing as a bad open house when you're doing it the right way like this. There's no such thing. So that's a great question though. And they can be anything. Like, again, I'm also a big believer on your branding shining through what you're doing. So what are some of the things that you think buyers need to get them in the door? It's totally up to you what those messages are. But those are some of the ones that have worked before that, just it's enough to get people to make that decision to come to your open house. That's all it is.
I love it that it's a show.
It is.
It's a show.
It is a show.
Know your script, your theater. Amy,
Yep.
that resonates for you. She's an actress too.
And it's accessible for everybody. We just approach it from a little different mindset. And if I can share that with you guys, it's not a foreign mindset by any means. It's just looking at it from a different lens. And it's something that we as actors do pretty darn easily, But that's a great question. Any other questions about the vacant houses? And by the way, I will qualify this. That's where you're targeting for the vacant houses. That doesn't mean you have to do a vacant house every time. I do plenty, and especially with my listings, we all know that the first weekend is the most viable weekend for an open house of any listing, the first weekend that it's listed, right? So regardless, it's part of my listing package that I will be there, me, the first weekend representing your house. And that's whether you live in it or whether you don't. But if I'm going to borrow a listing from somebody else and help them market their property, which again, a lot of agents think, oh, I'm asking another agent, I'm taking something away. Get that out of your mind, because most agents don't want to do what you're going to do. They don't, and it's not because it's hard work. It's because they haven't figured out how to streamline it and make it transferable and easy to go from house to house to house to house. And with what the hub does, I mean, it's 3 minutes for me to add a new, it's 3 minutes for me to do a marketing request, if that. And then I have everything I need, all of the collateral and everything is dropped into my inbox, and I've already got all the pieces set up. I just literally plug and go. And we actually have somebody in the hub, Kristen, she'll do 3 open houses in the same day. I mean, it's incredible. That's another strategy. We should actually probably have her on to talk about that one day for this, because it's unbelievable what she's done. And she got icon results out of that. I mean, unbelievable, high producing stuff.
Yeah,
It's really fun.
Well, you're making it fun, and I learned a lot from what you shared, Max. And thank you, man. I got a lot.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say one last little nugget too. So you're looking at the street, you're looking at where the house is. Is it viable? Is it on or near main road? Is it vacant? Is it the right house? And it's just like finding a house. Sometimes you're going to get the perfect house, but sometimes you got to compromise in some areas. But there's other pieces of what's going on in the neighborhood that you also probably want to look at and be familiar. One of those results that you looked at, I did the open house intentionally on neighborhood garage sale day because I knew I wouldn't have to even do heavy lifting because of the traffic. Actually, that day, I only had 3 signs in the front yard. I didn't even advertise on the main road. I couldn't get there. I had people lined up. So a lot of us think, oh, it goes back to the prep week. If you're doing this on Friday for your Saturday open house, you are going to miss so many opportunities if you don't give yourself the time to really figure out which neighborhood, which pieces. I knew I was going to do the neighborhood garage sale day 2 weeks before because it was advertised in the neighborhood that was neighborhood garage sale day. So, that's one of the pieces. If they're doing any sort of community events in the neighborhood, I did one on, they had a vendor fair that I did. So I actually bought a booth for $100 and I was at the vendor fair during the hours of that. And then I had the open house open right after the fair closed. So I got a whole bunch of traffic from there, and I could also direct people that I was talking to in the vendor fair to go to the open house. So get really familiar with what's going on in the communities, because there's opportunity everywhere if you look for it. But if you're doing your open house and you're setting it up on Friday or Saturday morning, you're just putting yourself in a stressful situation, and there's no need for it. All of that stuff with the week, it's about 15 hours of work.
Yeah.
Including sitting the open house. That's not a lot. There's a lot more time for you to do everything else. So, get curious, I guess, is the best way I can say that.
Yeah,
if you're exploring, don't just explore the house. That's the first piece. What else is going on in the neighborhood? What else is going on in the city? Is it on a Sunday where down the street they're going to do a farmer's market and I can pull people from there and make sure I have a sign available? There's so many opportunities if you look for them.
Yeah. And Max, between this one strategy, and we see the agents that come into the hub and all the strategies, and we see all the ROI because we're managing the businesses, we're managing the data, right? We know that an agent that just is focused on their sphere and past clients, loving on those people, and then staying top of mind in the right way. And then if they want to keep growing their business and then growing it for others, and including agent attraction, everybody here is in a brokerage that has rev share opportunities. open house and sphere and past clients, done. You don't need anything else. You don't need to go chase this new shiny online lead platform. Like, it's over. It's over.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And the people that,
I was going to say, especially in this climate that we're moving into in the industry, where we are going to get tested to prove our worth, what's going to be an easier sell? Somebody that's literally engaged and in the property and meeting people face to face, or somebody that's explaining how they market a property to somebody that doesn't understand marketing? What do you think's an easier sell? So again, I recommend you make this part of your listing strategy like today and just
become a pro.
know, yeah.
Become a
Yeah.
pro. Separate from the rest and become a pro.
Yep.
Like you.
I'm
Thank
trying.
you.
I'm getting there. It's you always move the bar, you know.
Oh, one other thing I just have to share that was an aha for me. When you said, remember guys, he said when he was thinking about talking to the agent, asking, for that listing, he didn't ask for the listing. He said, help you market the property.
Oh,
that
yeah.
word right there just went ding, help you market the property versus would you mind? Could I market your listing? But help you. That was gold right there.
And that's all part of that script, which actually that's probably where we should start next week, Kelly.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it, guys. Come on back. If you're watching the recording, we're going to record again next week. This is probably going to be a 5-6 week series. There's just too much, and it's too important right now in the time of the industry. And thank you, Max, we're just going to extract all the maximum information out of Max that we can.
Awesome.
Thanks,
well, thank you guys so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.